Overwatch 2 PvE is widely seen as the main content in Overwatch 2. However, this is not playable at the moment, but it will be in 2023. So the question here is, what will the PvE look like? Well, actually, we've got a bunch of information from Blizzard that we can actually break down and try and work out what we are going to see this year when it comes to Overwatch 2 PvE. So let's get stuck into this and see what we can find. Firstly, we're going to start with the hero missions. Now, these are a replayable mission format where you travel around the Overwatch world and you complete various missions. You'll see missions such as defend the uplink, lead the payload to an extraction point, bring canisters back for containment and such. The list kind of goes on and on and on. Now, the idea with these missions are they are highly replayable. So I think the idea with these missions is to keep the player engaged when they've maybe exhausted all of the story content or they don't want to play any more PvP, which I think is fair enough. There's only so much content Blizzard can actually give us, so using existing maps and putting different objectives on them and crucially giving us worthwhile rewards. We still don't know what the rewards will be, but that is going to be absolutely critical when it comes to the success of these missions. Also, there is a fully dynamic weather system in Overwatch 2. I want to see more of this because even looking back at these old clips, it looks absolutely insane, and this really does build the atmosphere of any kind of hero mission or story mission. Obviously in PvP it would be totally broken, but in the PvE would look absolutely fantastic and would really sell what's going on. So what are these missions about and what are Blizzard trying to do here? Well, it is repurposing existing content to give players something else to do. And I'm not totally against that. I think it's fine. It's just, what will the rewards be and will these missions be different enough to actually make them worthwhile playing through repeatedly? I suppose we could be in a scenario where if we look at the various PvE missions that we've played already, take a look at the Wrath of the Bride event from 2022's Junkenstein's Revenge, it wasn't really very replayable. You played through it once and then you kind of was like, okay, is that it? There is a danger these missions turn into that, but hopefully they won't, and it will give us something else to actually do in between playing either PvP or completing story missions when they become available. I can't wait to try these. They do look really cool, and if they've got loads of various modifiers and all kinds of things like that, different enemies, different bosses, different team comps, I think it's going to be actually pretty cool. It's going to be a totally different way to play Overwatch. Instead of logging in and getting destroyed on ladder, you can maybe log in and play a bit of PvE. Looking forward to it. Now, there is another type of mission, and it is the story mission. These missions are going to be the main attraction of Overwatch 2 PvE. This is where we're going to see lore come together, cinematics, hero development, everything is going to come together in these missions, which are going to push forward the lore of Overwatch 2 and make us feel like we're part of the world. Look at this here in the background. It looks insane. Massive fire in a temple. Now, these missions will also take place on maps that we've played on, but they will also take place on new maps and maps that are specific to this mode and maps that have specific things going on. For example, you kind of seen a little bit there of the Brazilian mission with the Rio de Janeiro. We can see a bit more here. Now, I played through this at BlizzCon in 2019. It was super cool. It wasn't very replayable, but that's maybe the idea with story missions. You maybe play them a few times and then you peace out. I don't know. Obviously, things could have changed. It's been a few years now. But this mission was fun to play through, and you can kind of see how it's changed the map, and it's pretty cool. Also, these story missions give the developers another way of, well, telling the story. They haven't had this in Overwatch 2 so far, or even in Overwatch, where they can sort of tell a live story with the environment. I guess you could call it environmental storytelling. This is something they can totally do with Overwatch 2 PvE, and I just can't wait for it. I think it's going to be really cool. And look at that. I want to go to Torb's base as well. I can't wait to play this map, which actually I think was an assault map, but they're reworking it because assault is no longer a game mode in Overwatch 2. So yeah, I think these are going to be pretty cool. We're going to see mission types sort of like escort civilians to shuttles. We're going to see missions that push the story forward. Obviously, we know about the whole Rio mission where we're sort of trying to stop a null sector invasion by blowing up their mothership, which is really cool, and there's a big boss fight at the end. I mean, this is super cool stuff, and obviously the sky is sort of the limit here. I hope that we end up seeing things sort of like World of Warcraft raids and even World of Warcraft Mythic Dungeons with modifiers, and what I'd really like to see is massive Overwatch 2 raids. I'd love to take down a massive null sector Omnic. I think that would be incredible. Think like the 0 Hour cinematic. Imagine doing that. That would be super cool with 10 other players. Amazing stuff. Now let's talk about PvE enemies, because this is something which is obviously, it needs to be developed for Overwatch 2, and they do have a various group of enemies that they are showing us or have shown us in the past, and we can kind of check them out here at the moment. They look cool, they look varied, they've got different effects. They drop AoE effects on the floor when they die, they do different things. You've got the little slices running forward, you've got this enemy which pulls you towards them, and yeah, you know, this is all kind of cool. These are things you're going to have to look out for when you're playing in PvE. So you'll see a certain enemy, maybe a certain hero will have to deal with it. So if it's an enemy, one of the artillery characters that's firing from the back, you can actually destroy its weapons, so you can blow its arms off, but you would want one of the long-range DPS on your team to deal with that. So if you've got a soldier, he will deal with it. If you've got a widow, she will deal with it, or a Sojourn will deal with it. The Reinhardt necessarily wouldn't, or if you had a mate. This guy here, big artillery guy, you can blow his arms off. It's really cool. And again, the sky's the limit with this kind of stuff. They can have massive enemies with all kinds of bits being blown off. Really cool. I hope to see more of this. Now, hero talents. This is perhaps the biggest thing when it comes to PvE in changing the way we play Overwatch. Now, we're just going to quickly look at a few things here, and then we're going to pause the frame and take a look in detail of what we can see here for Soldier 76. We're also going to take a look in detail at Reinhardt in a second, but let's just digest what we've got on the screen. Now, remember, you would have expected this to have changed because this is a few years out of date now. But what we've got is 3 specific talent trees for a hero. Again, if you play World of Warcraft, old World of Warcraft that is, you'll be familiar with this system. 3 different talents that kind of do different things. So you've got Commander, Rifleman, and Vigilante, and each one of them will have a specific power. So Rifleman is pretty much your weapon, you would imagine, right? So that's about doing range damage. Commander, that's about buffs, it's about healing, it's about keeping your team together. Vigilante, maybe more about melee damage or speed or something like that, right? We don't obviously know too much because we can't see what the talents are, but you can see some of them in effect here. So his biofield sticks to him and repulses enemies. Kind of cool stuff. We get a little bit of a glimpse here of Mercy firing damage from a staff. Quick look at Mercy's talents, though we won't focus on those for too long because there's not that much we can kind of see there with the Mercy talents. But for Reinhardt talents, we get to see actually quite a lot. So what we're going to do now is take a look at the talents in detail. We can see a little bit of a electric trap there from Junkrat and a sort of chain lightning effect there from Winston, which I guess you can say he's kind of in the game at the moment, but obviously it doesn't chain to other targets. All right, then let's take a look at Reinhardt. So this is Reinhardt's tree. Now he's got 3 specific trees or talent trees. So Crusader, Juggernaut, and Guardian. Now they actually do very quickly skip over all of these talents so we can see what they are. And what I'm going to do is put them on the screen right now, and we're just going to take a look at these and break them down. Now they're all from different trees, but we can kind of see what Blizzard are doing here. So let's just start from the top left. Icy Pains. Charge deals 150% more pin damage to frozen enemies and keeps enemies frozen while they're pinned. So that's kind of something you would be looking to use in conjunction with obviously a Mei, right? So if you've got Mei on a mission with you, that's going to be really cool. Changing your talents so they're mission specific as well is going to be super cool. So if we move to the middle, we've got Brigitte's Veld, or Brigitte's Weld, I guess we could say if we want to butcher the language. So I'm pretty sure that's Veld. Anyway, Reinhardt takes 3%, 6% less damage from all sources while he has armor, because of course Brig looks after his armor, so it makes sense thematically. Armor up, if we go to the right-hand side, gain armor equal to 3%, 6%, 10% of Reinhardt's maximum health. That's kind of a boring talent, kind of like the Briggs sort of talent there, a bit boring. Go to the left-hand side, we see Overhead Smash. Hitting with Rocket Hammer swings 2 times in a row causes the next swing to deal 25% more damage, stunning targets for 0.5 seconds. That's pretty cool. Fractured, which is in the center, enemies take 10%, 20% more damage from all sources while knocked down by Earth Shatter and stay knocked down 15 to 30% longer. Now, these increasing in figures is obviously you can spend multiple points on some of these talents, right? So 1 point on that would be 10%, 2 points would be 20%. Shield Bash on the right hand side. Use primary fire while barrier field is active to stun all enemies directly in front of Reinhardt for 2 seconds, dealing 30 damage and pushing them back. 10-second cooldown. That's really cool because that's like a super Brig Shield Bash. Think of the size of Reinhardt's barrier. Like using that to shove enemies away from your team is going to feel super good. You're going to feel like a tank. It's going to feel incredible. Down in the bottom left, we've got all armor. Convert 25%, 50%, 75% of Reinhardt's health to armor. That's pretty decent. Get Down in the center. Charge's pin damage is increased by 25%, 50% when the pin target was picked up near an ally. And then in the bottom right, we've got Puncture. Enemies that survive pin damage take 25% more damage from all sources for 6 seconds. So there you go, guys. That's a look at the features we know are coming to Overwatch 2 PvE. Now remember, these things could change. I'd expect there to be more stuff because this is essentially 3 years out of date now. This information is. So 2023 is going to be the year where we get our hands on Overwatch PvE. How that will look, we still don't know. We don't necessarily have 100% confirmation on if it's going to be one big campaign we get access to, or it's going to be sort of smaller, digestible DLC kind of content, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be, guys, because it would make sense with the Battle Pass model, that when a new Battle Pass season comes out, there's maybe a new PvE thing that you can do or buy access to or something along the lines like that. As ever, let me know what you think about everything in the comments below, guys. I've been Stylosa. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel because it really, really helps, and I will catch you lot on the next one. See you soon.